So a new MonsterVerse game has just been revealed, and not only is Kong the star, he's the stinking title of the game. Godzilla, on the other hand, is nowhere to be found yet again, and his fans are starting to get very frustrated. Some of you right now know exactly what I mean. After 2 movies with Godzilla being sidelined for Kong, the reveal that Godzilla will likely be absent in this first official MonsterVerse indie game. I know they've made mobile games, but I don't think those count. This all has once again added fuel to the fire, with some fans demanding that the King of the Monsters needs to be given more content to where he is the star. Especially when the entire plot of this new game, as pleasant as it sounds to me personally, doesn't add up when you consider that Godzilla should be the one stopping Abaddon's attack on Jacksonville, not Kong. So this game takes place right after Godzilla vs. Kong. So in theory, Godzilla went off to rest during this time. But after everything we've seen in the new Empire, Godzilla not showing up here, even if he was a little tired, makes no sense when you look at how the last 2 films have set Godzilla up as this unstoppable force of nature that can somehow jump from one side of the planet to the other in what seems like just hours, if there was ever another Titan trying to overrule his command of staying dormant on the surface. And it looks like the events of this game are going to take place over at least a couple of days. In this video, I'm gonna hopefully give some understanding to this seemingly way too common issue of Godzilla not showing up in his own franchise. Hint for you guys, the MonsterVerse bigwigs are not fully to be blamed here. Let's get to it. Out of the gates here, I want to jump to the MonsterVerse timeline. This new game takes place in the days, weeks, or months that followed Kong and Godzilla's battle at Hong Kong, which means we might actually have a lore reason that could allow the developers of Kong's Survival Instinct to get away with not including the G-Man. After his battle with Kong and Mechagodzilla, Goji here was extremely exhausted. In the lore, Godzilla was already losing energy prior to his fight with Kong after being active for nearly a decade. He had to go and take a power nap in the Hollow Earth tunnels to give himself a boost before he was able to tell Kong to get the hell out of here. So in theory, if this game takes place close enough to the end of Godzilla vs. Kong, I guess you could say Godzilla hit the old alarm clock on this one, letting Kong have another moment of time on the surface to take care of the new infestation. And this would make a lot of sense if Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire didn't just come out, featuring a Godzilla that couldn't let Kong have 1 minute on the surface before rushing off to confront him in such a violent manner. In short, I don't think 7-Eleven Studios was given the story for GXK before this game was greenlit. Come on now, Legendary. Because GXK Goji wouldn't let this Abaddon and Kong invasion go unnoticed. Now, I don't think this will ultimately make or break the game due to the overall atmosphere and tone of the story for Survival Instinct honestly being the closest to top-tier storytelling from the human perspective that we have gotten maybe ever in the MonsterVerse. That being said, I've said it many times already on the channel recently. The MonsterVerse lore handlers have got to do a better job. Myself and many others are growing tired of each MonsterVerse official story feeling like it has little to no connection to the other entries in the series. I know that's loosely how the Godzilla franchise has always sort of been, but in my opinion, that also could be the reason why Godzilla was never able to grow a true, stable line of lore that could be celebrated and obsessed over for decades, helping the franchise reach even higher levels of fandoms like some of these other massive franchises out there. What I'm trying to say is, without the effort of making each MonsterVerse entry align to the events that have happened already, you get situations like this where all of us massive MonsterVerse fans know that this is not how this scenario would actually play out in this universe. Godzilla would absolutely be here for this fight. And that brings me to the final reason why Godzilla is not in this game. Money! Let's face it, Toho makes Godzilla getting exposure to other platforms like video games insanely freaking hard. Not only would 7 Levels and their legendary investors need to beg to be able to use Godzilla in this game, they would also have to put a huge amount of their budget into simply getting the rights to this character. King Kong has always been more accessible due to not having clear ownership, but Toho holds ultimate power over Godzilla, and they would rather see the character disappear than to easily let Godzilla be used by anyone and everyone, which you have to respect in some sense. But if Gigabash could do it, maybe there's no excuse. Except that game didn't start with having Godzilla in it, it had to earn him, so who knows, perhaps Survival Instinct will do well enough to get a Godzilla DLC update. I can't confirm any of this, but it does add up. I think there's some weight to it. Kong does seem to have more of a draw than the big G-Man in terms of general audience folk, probably due to the character being so human-like, so financially it does make sense to leave Godzilla out of this one, but it doesn't stop some fans from having a feeling like they keep being duped. To many fans, no Godzilla means no customer, and that's important to remember. While I don't necessarily agree with this, the growing buzz from the fans feeling like the OG star of the MonsterVerse is being kicked to the curb too much is not something to ignore. One or two more entries that act like Godzilla is a sideshow or non-existent in the MonsterVerse, and I bet you would start seeing the Goji fans rebel against legendaries similar to how Star Wars fans have been with Disney lately. But what do you guys think? If you want more opinion sort of coverage videos like this, share the video around, get the algorithm all fired up, and that'll show me that you want more. On that note, you guys go enjoy the rest of your day. This has been Jacob, and I will see you in the next one.